We need a peaceful party. This year, Amanda. No family drama. We're keeping it small, just us, Mark, and his kids at the cabin. My mother's text glowed on my phone screen, the subtle exclusion hitting harder than an outright rejection. I was the family drama they wanted to avoid, apparently. I'm Amanda Mitchell, 34, and for the past decade, I've been the black sheep of my family simply because I chose to become a social worker instead of joining the family law firm like my younger brother, Mark. Every holiday, every family gathering became an opportunity for them to remind me of my disappointing career choice. The cabin needs tranquility this year, my mother's next text read. You understand, right? The cabin. Our family's cherished mountain retreat, the place where I'd spent every party since I was born. The same cabin my grandfather left to all of us, not just my parents, though they seemed to forget that detail conveniently. Perfect, I typed back, a plan already forming in my mind. Enjoy your peaceful holiday. My mother's response was immediate. I'm glad you understand, dear. Maybe next year. What they didn't know was that I'd spent the past year working with a local foster care organization, helping children find temporary homes during the holidays. These kids, aged 5 to 15, had never experienced a real party, let alone one in a cozy mountain cabin. I called Maria, my colleague at the foster care center. Remember that party, miracle we were hoping for? I think I found it. The cabin you mentioned. Amanda, are you sure? Maria's voice was cautious but hopeful. I'm not just sure, I'm certain. My name's on the deed too, remember? Let's give these kids a party they'll never forget. The next 2 weeks were a whirlwind of preparation. I coordinated with local businesses, organized donations, and planned activities. The community's response was overwhelming. Everyone wanted to help once they heard about the foster kids' party retreat. My parents' peaceful party plan had inadvertently sparked something beautiful. 25 children who'd never had a proper party would experience the magic of the holiday in our family cabin. The day before party eve, I arrived at the cabin early to start decorating. Each bedroom was transformed with festive touches, the main room dominated by a massive party tree. Local businesses had donated presents, food, and decorations. Volunteers helped set up activity stations, cookie decorating, craft making, and even a hot chocolate bar. My phone buzzed again. Another text from my mother. We'll be arriving tomorrow afternoon. I've already arranged for the housekeeper to prepare everything. I smiled, imagining their faces when they'd arrived to find their peaceful party transformed into something much more meaningful. The cabin's housekeeper, Mrs. Sullivan, was actually in on my plan, having helped coordinate many of the local donations. Just wanted to make sure, I texted back. You're arriving at 2 p.m., right? Yes, dear, though I don't know why you're asking since you won't be there. That evening, as I finished the final preparations, I heard the first buses arriving. Children's excited voices filled the air as they piled out, their eyes wide with wonder at the sight of the decorated cabin. Is this really all for us? A small girl named Sophie asked, clutching her worn backpack. Yes, sweetheart, this is your party home, I replied, watching as her face lit up with pure joy. By nightfall, the cabin was alive with laughter and excitement. Children who'd never decorated a party cookie were covered in frosting and sprinkles. Others sat by the fire, listening to volunteers read party stories. The magic of the holiday season filled every corner of the space my parents had deemed too precious for family drama. As I tucked the younger kids into bed that night, helping them hang stockings on their door handles, I realized that sometimes being excluded from one family means you get to create an even bigger one. These children, with their resilient spirits and hopeful hearts, had already made this party more meaningful than any peaceful family gathering could have been. Tomorrow, my parents would arrive expecting their quiet, drama-free holiday. Instead, they'd find their precious cabin transformed into a haven of joy for children who'd never known the magic of party. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about spreading love where it was denied. I fell asleep that night to the sound of excited whispers and muffled giggles, knowing that tomorrow would change everything, not just for these children, but for my family's understanding of what party truly means. At exactly 1:58 p.m. on party eve, I watched from the cabin's front window as my parents' luxury SUV pulled up the snow-covered driveway. Mark's car followed close behind, his 2 teenagers probably glued to their phones as usual. They were all about to get the surprise of their lives. Through the frosted glass, I could see my mother's confused expression as she noticed the collection of vehicles parked around the cabin, the volunteer cars, and the two small buses that had brought the foster children. My father was already frowning, probably assuming someone had trespassed on his property. The front door opened before they could use their key. 6-year-old Sophie, wearing a Santa hat and an oversized party sweater, greeted them with a cheerful, merry party. "Are you more of our special guests?" My mother's perfectly composed face froze. My father's jaw dropped. Mark stood behind them, his teenagers finally looking up from their phones in confusion. "Amanda." My mother's voice carried that familiar note of controlled anger. "What is the meaning of this?" I stepped into the entryway, surrounded by decorations and the sound of children laughing from various rooms. "Welcome to our foster kids party, retreat. Since you wanted a peaceful holiday without me, I decided to put the cabin to better use." "You had no right," my father started, but I cut him off. "Actually, I had every right. Grandfather left the cabin to all of us, remember? Check the deed if you've forgotten." Before they could respond, Mrs. Sullivan appeared, carrying a tray of hot chocolate. "Oh, good you're here. The children are about to start their party carol performance. Come in, come in." My parents stood rooted to the spot as a group of children rushed past them into the main room, carrying handmade decorations and wearing festive outfits donated by local shops. My niece and nephew, usually so detached, watched with growing interest. "Mom," my niece Sarah tugged at my sister-in-law's sleeve. "Can we go watch?" In the main room, 25 foster children had arranged themselves in front of the fireplace. Maria, standing in as their conductor, raised her hands, and the room filled with slightly off-key but heartfelt renditions of party carols. I watched my mother's face as Sophie, who had been practicing for days, stepped forward for her solo in Silent Night. Her small voice, clear and pure, carried across the room, touching something in even my mother's carefully guarded heart. "These children," I explained quietly to my stunned family, "have never had a real party. Most of them have never even had a proper holiday meal. So when you decided you needed peace more than you needed your daughter at party, I decided to give them the kind of party I always had here as a child." My father's stern expression wavered as he watched a young boy carefully hang an ornament on the tree, his face glowing with pride. This was Tommy, who'd spent the last 3 parties in different foster homes. "The local community helped," I continued. "Once they heard about these kids, everyone wanted to contribute. There are presents under the tree for each child party. Dinner is being prepared by volunteer chefs, and tomorrow morning, they'll experience their first real party morning in this cabin." My brother Mark, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly spoke up. This is what you do in your job. Help kids like these." "This is exactly what I do, Mark. This is the disappointing career choice you all love to criticize. I help children find hope, even if it's just for one party." My mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue she'd pulled from her designer purse. But where will we stay? All the rooms must be." "Oh, there's plenty of room," I assured her. "The children are sharing rooms, camping style. They're actually excited about it. Most of them have never had a sleepover. Your rooms are still available if you want to stay and see what a real party miracle looks like." My niece and nephew had already joined the group of children, learning the hand motions so Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. Their genuine laughter, something I hadn't heard in years, filled the room. Mrs. Sullivan appeared again, this time with a list in her hand. "Amanda, the children want to know if they can start the cookie decorating contest now. And Tommy's asking about the storytelling session." I looked at my family, still standing awkwardly in their designer winter wear. "Well, would you like to join us? Fair warning, it might not be as peaceful as you planned, but I guarantee it will be more meaningful." The silence that followed felt endless. Then Sophie, still in her oversized sweater, walked over and took my mother's hand. "Would you like to help me decorate cookies? I've never done it before, and Amanda says you're really good at it." Something shifted in my mother's expression as she looked down at Sophie's hopeful face. Without a word, she slipped off her expensive coat, handed it to my father, and let the little girl lead her to the cookie decorating station. What followed was nothing short of transformative. My perfectly coiffed mother, who usually fretted about getting flour on her clothes, spent hours helping children decorate cookies, My father, who hadn't told a story since I was little, found himself surrounded by eager listeners as he revived his old talent for storytelling. Mark's teenagers put down their phones voluntarily, a party miracle in itself. They taught the younger kids how to make paper snowflakes and started a friendly snowman building competition outside. My brother, watching his children truly engage with others for the first time in years, pulled me aside. "I'm sorry, Amanda," he said quietly. "We've been wrong about your choices. Seeing what you do, how you help these kids, it's incredible." As evening approached, the cabin filled with the aroma of party dinner. Local restaurants had donated a feast and volunteers helped serve the meals. My mother, still wearing the apron she used during cookie decorating, watched and wondered as children who rarely got enough to eat enjoyed second helpings of everything. "They're so polite," she whispered to me, "so grateful for everything. Our own children take so much for granted." After dinner, the children gathered around the massive party tree. Each child had a stocking and presents to open, some for the first time in their lives. Tommy, the quiet boy who'd caught my father's attention earlier, opened a package containing a warm winter coat. "It's just like yours," he said to my father, his eyes shining. My father, who hadn't removed his own expensive coat all evening, immediately took it off and hung it up. "Would you like to learn how to build a fire?" he asked Tommy. "My father taught me when I was about your age." As midnight approached, the younger children were tucked into bed, while the older ones watched party movies in the den. My mother found me in the kitchen, preparing for breakfast the next morning. "Amanda," she began, her voice thick with emotion, "I don't know what to say. We've been so wrong, so focused on our idea of success, that we couldn't see the importance of what you do." "It's not about being right or wrong, Mom," I replied, measuring out pancake mix. "It's about understanding that peace isn't about avoiding people or situations we label as dramatic. Sometimes it's about creating joy where there was none." Party morning dawned bright and clear. The children's excitement was contagious as they discovered filled stockings and more presents. My parents, who hadn't spent party morning in pajamas in decades, sat on the floor helping little ones open gifts. The local news crew arrived mid-morning. Someone had tipped them off about our foster kids' party retreat. My mother, still in her silk pajamas and yesterday's apron, gave an impromptu interview about the importance of community and giving back. My father, with Tommy by his side, announced he would be starting a foundation to support foster children's education. As I watched my family interact with these children, really interact, not just for show or social media, I realized that sometimes the best response to exclusion is inclusion. My parents had wanted to avoid drama by keeping party small, but in doing so, they would have missed the biggest blessing of all. Mark approached me as I watched Stuffy teaching our mother a clapping game. "You know," he said, "I've been thinking. The law firm could do more pro bono work for foster families. Maybe you could help us set that up." By the time the children had to leave, there wasn't a dry eye in the cabin. My mother hugged each child goodbye, collecting drawings and promises to visit. My father had exchanged phone numbers with Tommy's foster parents, already discussing mentorship possibilities. "Next party," my mother said as we watched the buses pull away, "we're doing this again. But this time, we'll plan it together. All of us." I smiled, remembering her text from just weeks ago about wanting a peaceful party. Sometimes peace isn't found in silence or exclusion. Sometimes it's found in the chaos of children's laughter, in the mess of cookie decorating, and in the simple act of opening your heart and your home to those who need it most. That party taught my family that true peace comes not from avoiding drama, but from creating joy. And sometimes, the best response to being excluded is to build something so beautiful that others can't help but want to be part of it.